Okay, I won't bother with any preamble. I like ultra rare plats, I'm sure you do too, that's why you've clicked on this video, so thank you. So let's get straight into it. I've made this advent calendar thing that we can open together. We'll start with the least rare and work our way up, or down, or toward the rarest. Accurate at the time of recording. You'll notice we'll be jumping all over the place as these are revealed. That's because I've also ranked them. So my least favourite is in the bottom left, working left to right, bottom to top, with my most favourite in the top right. So I'll start with the highest achievement percentage first, and teetering on the edge of ultra rare status, at 4.92% is Yakuza 0, the sublime and ridiculous 6th entry in the Japanese Mafia series. The first time I played this I ended up going to work the next day on 4 hours sleep, simply because I had to finish the first chapter to find out what happened. Such was the speed that the story got its hooks into me. The day after, same thing happened. Another late night, but this time it was because of the crane game. I imagine most people watching this are familiar with, if not at least aware of the Yakuza games, and the hundreds of activities there are to do. And these culminate into an epic in-game checklist, tied to a trophy. It's very likely this is the trophy that puts people off. Not least because a few of the activities probably aren't to everyone's taste. I'm looking at you, Shogi. And who can forget cat fights? Personally, when I finally got this trophy done, it was a relief. Next is The Last of Us Remastered at 4.72%. I'm actually a bit surprised this is in here, not least because everyone's played this game, but then I guess not everyone hunts trophies. And there is that multiplayer aspect to it, which was probably the thing that put people off this one. Funny though, initially the idea put me off, but when I got into it I had a really good time with this multiplayer. I'm gutted they're not doing a standalone multiplayer Last of Us game, because that would have been awesome. Anyway, I won't say too much about this one. You know, everyone should know this game, and it really does deserve a sequel. Next up, at just over 4% pop rate, is Aliens Dark Descent, the slick real-time strategy game that puts you in charge of a squad of colonial marines. I love this one. Everything about the game feels tidy, except perhaps the Tesla facelifts on the character models, but the gameplay, the visuals, the story, all just feels nicely crafted. Not surprised the pop rate is so low, seeing as it was a free game on PS Plus. Obviously the majority of players are not trophy hunters, and may well just try the game and decide it's not for them, which will drive the achievement rates down. If you're thinking of playing this, it's not nearly as tough as the completion percentage suggests. The game has really nice balance, enough tactical options, without being overwhelming. Definitely recommend. From dark to cozy. Next is Moonlighter at 3.92%. I really wanted to love this game more than I did in the end. It looks gorgeous, the music is lovely, but the gameplay really lacked some depth. Running the shop was great fun, even with the world's most useless assistant, but the loot became a bit dull. It's basically loot dungeon, sell stuff, upgrade gear, kill boss, start new dungeon, loot new stuff, sell stuff, upgrade gear, and so on. The toughest trophies here are the no-hit kill the boss trophies, particularly the boss on the third dungeon. You're going to want to absolutely back up your save on these, because you only get to beat the boss once per playthrough, so if you get tagged and don't notice, you'll be needing to start a new game at some point. Personally, I wouldn't drag this out any longer than necessary. VR game next, but a good one, and that is Blood and Truth, with a 3.79% rarity. Unlike the majority of first-gen VR games, Blood and Truth actually feels like a proper game, opposed to the abundant early releases that felt like tech demos and gimmicky concept pieces. A fully fleshed out story, fun gunplay, cool spy shit, and immersive action sequences are pretty much all you need to know. Why so rare? Probably the VR factor, but there is one fairly tough trophy for unlocking all weapons, weapon mods and gun skins. This requires you to earn 125 in-game stars, 79 for finding collectibles, and the rest for getting a high score on every level, with all the usual appraisal criteria, kills, time, accuracy, etc., plus a handy headshot bonus. Anyway, solid game, very fun.
They're just being polite, mate. Oh, fuck off.
Next Machina is next at 3.72%, a stunning twin-stick arcade shooter from Super Stardust developers Housemarque. I know, I could have said Returnal developer, but Super Stardust was the first game ever to have trophies, so it felt a bit more fitting. Next Machina sold poorly upon release, which ultimately led to Housemarque declaring that arcade is dead, and signalling their move in a different direction. Understandable from a business perspective, but a shame for the fact that Housemarque consistently produced really good games in this genre. Beautifully crafted games with gorgeous visuals, tight gameplay and banging soundtracks. Nex Machina feels like a game from a developer that's perfected their art, but for all the disappointment we did get Returnal, which is a fucking banger. As far as trophies go, there's a few difficulty related ones to overcome, as well as one for achieving 100 in-game feats that may be a roadblock to the platinum. But when a game feels this good to play, it just pushes you on. Try it, seriously. Right, here's a blast from the past. At 3.7%, it's Red Faction on the PlayStation 2. I was feeling a little nostalgic, so it was great to go back to this. And to have trophies too? Absolute bonus. Red Faction is a 2001 first-person shooter with a satisfying anti-corporation rebellion story. Wonderful facial animations, loads of guns, vehicles, and segments of pumping music that trigger at various points. The game is also the first to run using the Geomod engine, which I guess makes it literally groundbreaking. This is such a great feature. Being able to destroy the environment opens up some great opportunities like hidden areas, tactical kills, and shortcuts if you know what you're doing. Fits nicely with the rebellious theme of the game. Only really a couple of problem trophies with this one. Completing the game on hard mode and impossible mode will see you constantly saving and reloading as you edge your way through the game. And there's a finicky trophy for completing the game without killing any non-combatants. And trust me, the temptation is always there.
Some of my best friends are miners.
Then we have the lovely Stardew Valley at 3.53%. Not going to ramble on too much about this one, pretty sure most people are familiar with the general premise of the game. Reason for rarity? I think simply, lots to do. A few grinds, possibly more than one playthrough if you fuck up like I did. Oh, and the small task of beating the arcade game without dying. Though from what I understand, this was significantly harder in the past and an update made it more bearable. Still a challenge though. On to one of my favourite platinums, hence its position on the top shelf. It's Aliens Fireteam Elite at 3.53%. Love this game, and the whole platinum journey experience was great. There's a video on my channel about this one, if you're interested. As far as rarity goes, this is almost certainly down to the difficulty related trophies. You either get really good, or you go find yourself a hero. On to another one I've done a video on already, The Forest at 3.46%. No need to yap about this one too much. To be honest, I'm tired of talking about it. Great game, horrible plat. Basically, some of the trophies are horrible buggy messes. These trophies require doing lots of things in one sitting because the game forgets your progress when you quit out. I'm pretty sure this is why the completion is so low. On to Borderlands the pre-sequel at 3.26%, and honestly, I can't remember anything about this game. Not throwing shade or anything, I just have this blank patch in my memory. I remember I found it pretty funny. There was a character called the Merif. I think there was a trophy for 360 no-scoping an enemy, but details are generally hazy. I think there were some challenges or something with the trophy tied to them. Maybe my brain is protecting me from trauma or something. I just really don't remember much about it, I'm sorry. At 2.88% we have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. And another one I'm tired of talking about. These were great games back in the day, and they still are. 2 trophies stand out on this one. One for achieving all hard get-theirs and one for getting to level 100. The hard get-theirs trophy is tough, but it's satisfying as hell to nail all the challenges. Basically on every level you have to land a huge combo that includes tricking off specific objects. It takes practice, but as I said, satisfying as hell. The level 100 trophy on the other hand? Just the worst kind of grind. A reward for the dedicated player, they may say. But I've been around the block, and I know how this works. Oh, you like trophies? Well, you just help us boost our player engagement time, and we'll give you this. And on a side note, the Platinum trophy art is shit. They actually made an effort with every other trophy, but for the plat... Oh yeah, here's the box art. Not that I care about this sort of thing, but I did notice. Shuffling in with 2.6% is another Housemarque game, and that's Dead Nation. Not too surprised this is low, with nearly 300,000 game owners and trophies that require multiple playthroughs, co-op trophies, collectibles that have to be done in one playthrough, not to mention surviving to round 10 in endless mode. Gotta give a shout out to my oldest daughter for helping with the Dynamic Duo trophy. This one's for completing a round in co-op without either player taking damage. I gave her like 5 minutes prep time and we went for it. She followed every instruction to a T, handled the whole operation like a pro, and we got it first attempt. Good job, kid. And for the next one, I should really thank my youngest daughter, just for existing really. This one is Darkest Dungeon at 2.58%. Darkest Dungeon is a beautifully presented roguelike turn-based RPG. It sees you commanding a team of heroes through danger-infested dungeons, battling monsters and hunting for treasure. As well as building an effective team through upgrades and various skill selections, you'll have to manage a limited inventory space, as well as the stress your team will endure as they take on the various quests you send them on. There's a lot to learn, but it's a very rewarding game to conquer. Now, one of the skills Parenthood helps you refine is time management. So in anticipation of my youngest daughter's arrival, I bought Darkest Dungeon, as I saw it was available on the PS Vita, figuring it was a game I could pick up and put down quite easily. I could get in a bit of game time during the middle of the night feeds. Little did I know, it would become part of my daily routine for almost the next year and a half. Almost every evening, when I put the little one down for a sleep, I'd do 1 or 2 quests, just 20-30 minutes a day, working my way through the game, picking off the trophies. So by the time it came to tackling the toughest trophy in the game, for beating it on the hardest difficulty, I was pretty well prepared. This is definitely one of my favourite platinums, not just because it's a challenging game, but because it taught me to enjoy the long game approach to trophy hunting. And here we have Gauntlet Slayer Edition at 2.11%. A modern update to an arcade classic. You ever do that thing as a kid where you stand for ages at an arcade game and pretend to play as the demo rolled? Gauntlet was one of those for me. So the nostalgia kind of bit for this one. And it's a really fun game. I imagine it's more fun with friends, but I had to go it alone, which was actually pretty satisfying. Especially the trophy for getting to floor 50 on endless mode. This game has a whole bunch of ultra rare trophies, the majority of which are super grindy. For example, kill 15,000 skeletons with 1 hero, or kill 15,000 orcs with 1 hero, or kill 15,000 demons. Okay, you get the idea. Not everyone's cup of tea. Thankfully, there are a few semi-serviceable AFK methods for grinding some of these out. For the rest, I'd recommend waiting for that bit of time when you just need to shut off your brain. On to my favourite platinum at 1.81%. Fury, or Furry, is basically a boss rush bullet hell twin stick action game. It looks awesome, the controls are tight, the soundtrack is sublime. It just has so much going for it. I really don't want to say too much about why this is my favourite plat, only because I've been planning a video on it for a while, so you'll have to watch this space. I really think this is a special one. Another special one. Rain World PS4 version at 1.68%. I did a video a few years back talking about my Rain World experience. Upon further reflection, it still amazes me a pixel art world like this can feel so alive and dangerous. It's an intensely lonely journey through this game, but it somehow triggers an instinct to keep pushing through to survive. Anyway, sentimental rabbiting aside, the trophies. Out of 22 trophies, 21 are ultra rare. I think the reason is you have to get really deep into this game to pop a number of these. The trophy descriptions don't give away much by way of telling you what you need to do. When I played it, I was piecing together information from various forum posts and maps people had stitched together. Though I've just noticed there's a trophy guide that was published a week after I finished the game, so definitely use that if you get stuck. It's a tough game, and it may feel like a slog at times, but hey, that's life. '18th on the list is Skyrim VR at 1.57%. I know, I say it every time, but I feel really lucky that the VR version was my first and only experience of Skyrim. I mean, it was immersive. Just being actually in the world. Sure, the melee combat was a bit dopey, you know, just tickling your opponents to death with the tip of your sword, but the spellcasting and archery were great fun, and that feeling of walking miles while sat in a chair was extremely cathartic after a long day at work. Sometimes I'd even lie down and stare at the night sky for a while. Of course, it's a Bethesda game, so bugs and glitches come with the territory. I have another video featuring a few of these if you search the channel. I mentioned the VR factor when trying to explain Blood and Truth's platinum rarity, and I think the same goes here. Just to elaborate, I think the vast majority of VR owners play games because they want to experience VR, not to hunt trophies. As is the case for all games really. It just seems to me more pronounced with VR. Okay, here's an interesting one. FIFA 18 at 1.36%. Now, this was the game that got me to buy a PS4. Not because it's amazing or anything, but just because I saw my brothers playing each other online and wanted to join in. It wasn't the game that got me into trophy hunting, but it did give me my first trophy. Go low for scoring a goal with a low shot, in case you were wondering. Not too much to say on this, trophy-wise. It's a FIFA game, half the world owns it, and they don't care about trophies. Just outside the top 3 is Wipeout Amiga Collection at 1.1%. Not surprised this is ultra rare. It's got over 170,000 owners, guessing it was a free game at some point. It also came bundled with the PSVR starter pack, so VR factor. It's a challenging game. You've got the Beat Zico time trial trophies and getting gold on everything, and there's an epic grind for EXP to contend with. So, the perfect storm. I had such a good time with this one. I played 99% of this game in VR, sat in the cockpit, having an absolute blast. Top game, good job if you got this one. Right, down to the final 3. At 0.6% rarity, we have Polybius. This tunnel shooter from veteran game developer Jeff Minter is an absolute trip to play. You can play in 2D, but I highly recommend playing in VR if you can. I have a real love-hate relationship with this game. When things are going well, it feels absolutely amazing. When it goes bad, it is the most jarring, obnoxious, rage-inducingly frustrating game I've ever experienced. It's an old-school style game, with an old-school level of challenge, and the trophies reflect this. Getting to level 30 in pure mode and killing 1000 cattle in a game are going to have you learning levels like the back of your hand to preserve those lives and get you to the finish line. It's tough, but it's worth it. One of the trophy I want to highlight is the Can't Touch This trophy. I was actually the first person to get this trophy for completing 5 consecutive levels without losing a shield. Oh, but darkly, that's not what it shows on PSN profiles. And you're right. See, the trophy was eventually patched because the requirements were wrong, which means the 2 legends above me actually got this trophy for doing 10 consecutive levels without losing a shield. So, fair play to them. My best was 7, in case you were wondering. Just ahead of Polybius at 0.59% is PSVR Worlds from London Studio. This little package came bundled with the PSVR, and it's a pretty good introduction to VR games. There's the mostly relaxing Ocean Descent, where you just sit back and enjoy the scenery. There's the London Heist, which served as the inspiration for Blood and Truth that I talked about earlier in the video. There's VR Luge, which has you hurtling down streets, avoiding traffic and launching off jumps. There's the Frantic Danger Ball, which is a kind of futuristic head tennis. And then there's the nausea-inducing Scavenger's Odyssey, where you pilot a jumping spacecraft and shoot stuff. Now, I'm very lucky in that I don't suffer from sickness playing VR games, but this one managed to make me feel queasy. Anyway, the Platinum. So, VR, yeah, and that's the obvious factor in the rarity. But there are some tough trophies here too. The VR Luge challenges will have you trying to beat some pretty fast times, and the Danger Ball challenges will have you playing the game at crazy speeds by the end. This is a really tidy little collection of games, and it's a good challenge. I'd recommend this one. Okay, we are finally at my rarest Platinum trophy. And that title goes to Tetris Effect. Who doesn't love Tetris? It's a timeless classic. And the developers of Tetris Effect absolutely nailed it with this imagining of the game. It's visually lush, sonically sublime. There really isn't a better way to play Tetris. But why so rare a Platinum? Well, it's down to 2 trophies, both of which require some time investment. There's one for rotating Tetraminos 1 million times. You should check out my Good Grind vs Bad Grind video if you want to know more about this one. The other trophy in question is the Seriously trophy, which requires you to earn SS rank everywhere possible. So Tetris Effect has all kinds of game modes, with scores to beat, times to beat, lines to clear, etc. And these are tough. Some of these are going to push your reactions and manual dexterity to the limit. Of note is the sprint mode, in which you have to clear 40 lines in under 70 seconds. I spent a couple of weeks training for this, just 1 hour every night, shaving tenths of a second off my time, and honestly, one of the best feelings when I finally got it done. So yeah, that's all my ultra rare trophies to date. Oh, that last one? That's a chocolate. You can have that for getting this far into the video. Hey, it's Christmas! It's not. But thank you for watching. Comment below if you have any of these. And if there's any ultra rare plats you recommend tackling, then by all means let me know. Okay, love you all. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye 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 bye.